Did you know there is a plant beneath your feet that defies nearly every rule of modern agriculture? You do not need to plant it every year. You do not need to fertilize it, irrigate it, or shield it from frost. Once it is in the ground, it returns on its own, season after season, decade after decade. It feeds without asking permission, survives without supervision, and spreads without being invited. This plant is the sun choke, also known as Helianthus tuberosus, a perennial root crop that quietly outlasts empires, wars, and civilizations, yet remains largely unknown today. Sun chokes were cultivated for thousands of years by indigenous communities across North America. They were valued not for profit, but for resilience, sustenance, and self-sufficiency. Once planted, a patch could feed families for generations. The plant's deep roots store energy in the form of inulin, a carbohydrate that slowly converts to sugar, providing steady nourishment without spiking blood glucose. It survives extreme cold, thrives in poor soils, tolerates drought, and requires none of the fertilizers, irrigation, or constant care that modern crops demand. This is a plant designed to endure chaos, to persist when others fail, to remain quietly abundant where conventional crops would perish. The peculiar characteristics of the sun choke, the way it replants itself, spreads rapidly, and thrives under extreme conditions, are not accidents. These traits evolved as adaptive strategies over centuries. Its tubers act as underground energy reservoirs, allowing it to survive winters and droughts. The rhizomes, underground stems that spread horizontally, form a hidden network that protects the plant from herbivores and environmental stresses while ensuring its survival. Unlike crops that store starch, sun chokes store energy as inulin, which resists freezing and degradation. This biological strategy allows it to endure extreme cold and remain ready to sprout whenever conditions improve. Its genetic makeup favors resilience, persistence, and adaptability, rather than uniformity or rapid harvest, which is why it spreads uncontrollably when left alone. Sun chokes grow tall, often 8 to 10 feet, crowned with bright yellow flowers that follow the sun. But its true treasure lies underground. Knobby tubers in white, gold, or purple, spreading through rhizomes to form an invisible underground network. One patch could feed an entire village for years, making it a living pantry that regenerates itself without human intervention. It is perennial, stubborn, and uncontainable, a plant that challenges the modern world's obsession with control and standardization. When Europeans first encountered the sun choke, they struggled to understand its significance. In 1605, French explorer Samuel de Champlain landed along the Atlantic coast of what would become Massachusetts. He was welcomed by the Algonquin people with a feast, and among the foods presented was kaishok panak, the sunroot. Champlain described it as sweet, crisp, and substantial, comparable to the finest European artichokes. Recognizing its potential, he brought samples back to France, where it was eventually cultivated and called topinambour. Italians referred to it as girasole, meaning sunflower, acknowledging its tall, radiant blossoms. The sun choke was embraced across Europe for its resilience, ability to grow in poor soils, and reliable yield. It fed peasants, livestock, and royalty alike. Its nutritional profile is extraordinary. A single plant produces 3 to 6 pounds of tubers, and an acre can yield more calories than wheat or potatoes grown in cold climates. Trials centuries later confirmed what indigenous communities already knew. Without irrigation or chemical inputs, sun chokes could produce over 60,000 pounds per acre, while potatoes yielded far less. Beyond calories, sun chokes are rich in potassium, iron, copper, magnesium, and B vitamins, supporting human health in countless ways. The inulin content, comprising 50 to 60% of the tuber's weight, nourishes beneficial gut bacteria, improves calcium and magnesium absorption, boosts immune function, and may even reduce the risk of certain cancers. Sunchokes were not just a crop, they were survival. During the Lewis and Clark expedition of 1805, the party nearly starved while crossing the Dakotas. They were saved by Sacagawea, who dug up sunchokes stored in wild caches by mice for the winter. Roasted over fire, these tubers provided enough nourishment to sustain the expedition. They could be eaten raw, crisp like water chestnuts, boiled until soft, or dried into flour to last through winter. Their ability to survive freezing conditions underground made them a reliable source of food, bridging the gap between scarcity and abundance. Despite their advantages, sunchokes were gradually displaced. Their very traits that made them resilient, irregular tuber size, knobbly appearance, uneven ripening, made them inconvenient for industrial agriculture. Tubers were difficult to clean, challenging to harvest mechanically, and spoiled faster than potatoes. The inulin, which made them healthy, also caused flatulence in those unaccustomed to it. European agriculture increasingly centralized, favoring potatoes, wheat, and corn. Crops that could be easily standardized, harvested efficiently, and stored for months. Sunchokes, which thrived independently and perpetually, could not be controlled. They were pushed aside, labeled as weeds, primitive, or unprofitable. Yet history repeatedly demonstrated their importance. During World War I, Germany faced severe food shortages, and sunchokes growing wild fed countless desperate families. In France, 1940, when potatoes were requisitioned by occupying forces, sunchokes sustained children and adults alike. In the Netherlands, during the hunger winter of 1944, emergency cookbooks listed sunchokes alongside tulip bulbs and wild plants. Families dug frozen soil with bare hands to harvest them. Millions survived because of a plant that simply persisted underground, beyond the reach of power or policy. After the wars, cultural memory interfered with recovery. Survivors associated sunchokes with trauma, hunger, and deprivation. The crop became a symbol of suffering rather than survival. It disappeared from markets, forgotten gardens, and culinary traditions. Yet biology is more patient than human memory. Sunchokes continued to thrive in marginal spaces, along roadsides, and in abandoned plots, quietly waiting for rediscovery. Rediscovery began in the mid-20th century. In the 1960s, small-scale farmers and chefs in California noticed knobby tubers gathering dust. Renamed sunchoke, they were marketed as a specialty crop. Chefs discovered their nutty, sweet flavor and versatility. They could be roasted, boiled, pureed, or eaten raw, crisp, and refreshing. Permaculture enthusiasts embraced sunchokes as a holy grail crop, perennial, hardy, high-yielding, and self-replicating. Plant once and harvest forever became the mantra. The lessons of sunchokes extend beyond cuisine. They demonstrate resilience, independence, and the mistakes of forgetting what nature freely provides. Modern agriculture prizes uniformity, marketability, and profit. Crops are bred to ripen on schedule, withstand mechanized harvesting, and maintain perfect appearance. Sunchokes mature unevenly, spoil quickly, and resist mechanization. They require patience, adaptation, and care. These qualities, inconvenient to industrial systems, are precisely what make them valuable in a changing world. As climate instability increases, droughts worsen, soils degrade, and conventional crops fail, sunchokes offer solutions. They store energy underground, where drought cannot reach, survive freezing temperatures that kill potatoes, and outproduce conventional crops with minimal water. Their deep roots improve soil structure, prevent erosion, and restore degraded lands. They are resilient where annual crops perish, providing security when industrial systems collapse. Crops that persist without profit are inconvenient to centralized systems. They cannot be patented, controlled, or commodified. Sun chokes yield more than industrial crops, heal soils, and feed communities independently. They embody abundance without control, a perennial reminder that food can exist outside profit and hierarchy. History repeats itself. Amaranth, temporary beans, and mesquite were marginalized because they empowered communities and refused to be controlled. Sun chokes survived because they could not be killed easily, but they remain underappreciated today. In home gardens and small farms, the plant is now cherished for its practicality and resilience. Plant 3 tubers, and by spring, 30 can be harvested. Leave fragments in the soil, and it will return season after season. It is not merely a crop, it is a living system of abundance, resilience, and renewal. Sun chokes are a blueprint for adapting to unpredictable climates, cultivating independence, and restoring degraded soils. We did not lose the sun choke, we simply forgot it. Its wisdom lives in the soil, in escaped plants, and in those willing to plant once and wait. Abundance does not need permission. Resilience does not require oversight. Nature waits patiently, underground, until we are ready to remember. If this story has reminded you of the knowledge we've forgotten, if it has inspired you to think differently about food, land, and survival, help preserve it. Subscribe to Eden Vault, turn on notifications, and share this story with someone who values resilience, independence, and the hidden power of the natural world.